Kaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami Nama Om Krishna Paraya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastityarashatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastityarashatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Shri Shinitaya Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Shri Ekadashi Mahamahotsav Ki Jai, Shri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Shinitaya Gaura Premi Hari Hari Bol. So Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome again. Today we're starting a brand new chapter, chapter 27 of the Teachings of Lord Caitanya. And this chapter is called Lord Caitanya and Ramananda Rai. So we'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapyam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyvari Vatshatya Deshatarine. So thank you all for this opportunity as we continue our discussions on this wonderful book, Teachings of Lord Caitanya. This book is written by Srila Prabhupada and it's based on the authorized biography of Lord Caitanya by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. That biography is called the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this chapter of the Teachings of Lord Caitanya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to travel out of Jagannath Puri. Right? In the last few chapters, we were discussing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's initial pastimes in Jagannath Puri. Of particular importance was the conversion or convincing of the great impersonalist Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to the Vaishnava Siddhanta or teachings. So now, in this 27th chapter, Lord Chaitanya is going to meet another one of his wonderful devotees, Srila Ramananda Rai. So we'll begin with the invocation prayer. It's verse 18 of the first chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And the translation is Glory to Shri Chaitanya and Nityananda, glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Lord Gaura, Shri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so I'd like to first glorify Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for a few minutes. Last week was his 150th appearance anniversary, and we had described some of his childhood pastimes as well as the wonderful circumstances of his appearance. So we'll just meditate on him as we hear a little bit of his pastimes after the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, and Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, his spiritual master. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is feeling a little bit despondent after these two great personalities left this world. And at that time, he had a very powerful dream. And in this dream, he actually saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine associates, right, like Lord Nityananda, Gadadhar Pandit, Advaita Acharya, and the six Goswamis, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as well, and Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, and they were in their transcendental forms, right, their forms in the spiritual world. And they spoke to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur directly that he didn't need to be in a state of anxiety because he had an important task ahead of him, which is establishing pure religion and spreading the message of Sri Gaura, the service of the holy name, abode, and desire of Sri Gaura. And they promised him that they were ready to help him, being eternally present with him. They said, in your mission of establishing pure devotional service, you will always receive our help. Behind you, innumerable people, unlimited wealth, and extraordinary scholarship are waiting to help you. It's quite amazing. Actually, something interesting to note that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples realized that if he needed funds for anything, that those funds would always be available, and all the desires of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would be fulfilled by the arrangement of the Lord. They said to him, whatever you need at any time will immediately appear to serve your mission of pure devotion. with full enthusiasm, proceed with your preaching of the message of pure devotion as it was preached by Sriman Mahaprabhu. No material problems can impede you. We are always with you. And such a powerful, powerful vision. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur then took the next amazing step. He took sannyas. Right? Before that, he was a Naishtik, lifelong brahmachari. He took sannyas, actually from a picture of Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj. And this is described, of course, as something extraordinary, but this is not a usual situation. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to take sannyas, and at that time, all of the Vaishnavas, they were not actually in the sannyas ashram. They were in the Babaji ashram. So what's the difference between the two? Essentially, nothing. Both Babajis and sannyasis are, they're both renunciants. But the difference is that a sannyasi travels and preaches. A sannyasi is an itinerant preacher. But the Babaji actually performs what is known as solitary bhajan. They glorify the Lord in a secluded place, away from others. So the six Goswamis had done this, and so all the other teachers in the line since them had done the same. But we understand that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had a unique mission to take the teachings of Lord Caitanya throughout India. So in the same way, Lord Caitanya took sannyas, which was also unusual at his time, and he actually had to take it from a Mayavad Sampradaya, which was also something extraordinary. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually took it from a picture of his spiritual master. But these things are not to be imitated. We cannot imitate Lord Caitanya, and we cannot imitate Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. These are divine personalities on a specific mission. So, in this way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur became a Gostinandi. And another term, Gostinandi versus Bhajananandi. Right? A Bhajananandi is like a Babaji who engages in the worship of Krishna in a solitary place, and the Gostinandi travels, preaches, lives with the disciples, not in seclusion. Lord Caitanya had a reason for taking sannyas in order to get the respect of people for his apparently new movement of spreading the holy names, although of course we know that the holy names are timeless. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought that taking the sannyas ashram would increase the appreciation for him and his mission, and so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur hoped to do the same. And so he also wanted to set an example, because there were many persons who claimed to be Babajis at the time, but they were engaging in illicit activities on the side. In seclusion, they were meeting women and so on. So in another way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to demonstrate that he was different from these Babajis. So on the same day that he took sannyas, he opened a branch of what would be known as the Gaudiya Math, right? Sri Chaitanya Math. He installed deities and he preached. This is in Calcutta, and he gave initiations. And then he started traveling. He started traveling and preaching his wonderful and powerful preaching tours throughout India. It's noted that in this particular first parikrama that he embarked on to Puri, he fell into a trance along the way, because he saw the forest around that area to be like Vrindavan. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also experienced these ecstasies. So he rented a house thereafter at Utadanga Road. Right? And we remember that this place was the place that Srila Prabhupada met him for the first time. It actually became the first Gaudiya Math. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started expanding all his preaching from here. Even to other places in the world. He sent his disciples to preach overseas. Particularly, his mission was Daivi Varanashram, where our Varana, right, the class of society that we're in, is based on quality. And this is in line with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. And he taught the example of Haridas Thakur in that way, who by birth appeared to be of a low caste, but who by quality was of the highest spiritual level. And because of this, he encountered much opposition from the caste Brahmanas. He also preached against those who were pretending to be Babajis and trying to get deeply into the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And these Sahajiya cults were very upset at his preaching, and they actually stoned his preaching parties. He also established his father's Sabha, or meeting of the Gaudiya mission, called the Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha, meaning that these particular Vaishnavas would be the kings of all Vaishnavas for coming in the line of Lord Chaitanya. And it's through Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's particular line of disciplic succession that we can actually experience the deepest ecstasies of love of God. So later, this actually became known as the Gaudiya mission. In particular, this mission is under the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami. Their teachings are contained in the Sat Sandarbhas. So it's actually Jiva Goswami who began this Vaishnava Raja Sabha. And it is said that it conceals itself. Right? This sabha, this association, conceals itself when there isn't enough interest. So between the times of the disappearance of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, this sabha actually disappeared, or seemed to disappear. And then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur started it, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur revived it, and then Srila Prabhupada spread it across the world. He also preached very strongly against those who show the deity for money, right? The priests who manage temples and then expect that from the darshan of the deities they could make a living. Right? He made very strong statements saying that they take the Shalagram deity as a stone for cracking nuts. Right? He was trying to make the point that they're using the Lord as a means to earn their living. So he wrote a lot of powerful works. This was one of them about this, as well as he completed a Vaishnava encyclopedia of vocabulary. This is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted him to do. So he traveled all over India. He circled all the holy places out of Bengal. In particular, he revived the Navadvip Parikrama, which Lord Nityananda took Srila Jiva Goswami on, as well as parikramas in Orissa and in Vrindavan. He also exhibited the ecstatic dancing in the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra. This is something I found interesting because he always seems so stern in all of his images, but he actually danced in ecstasy in Jagannath Puri. He started his own printing works, and he was publishing Srimad Bhagavatam and many spiritual literatures and magazines as well. And he was sending out preaching parties all the time. He was also preaching against Mayavad philosophy, establishing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's simultaneous oneness and difference. And he actually wanted to unite all of the Vaishnavas of different sampradayas, because everyone is essentially united in preaching against Mayavad philosophies, even if we're all a little different in our ultimate understanding of tattva. And to that end, he actually established murtis, forms of the great acharyas from all four sampradayas in his Mayapur Gaudiya Math. He was also dedicated to another cause, which was making the Bengalis, the people of Bengal, proud again of their Vedic culture. And because of the effects of the British, the Bengalis were basically like foreigners in their own land. They dismissed their own culture as backward, right, and inferior to that of the Western world. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they began meticulously re-educating people about the Vedic literature and culture. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also uncovering the sites of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, like in Prayag, the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Srila Rupa Goswami, and in many wonderful sites of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, he actually established marble footprints of Lord Chaitanya, which we find even today. He took Bhaktivinoda Thakur's magazine, Sajana Toshini, and he printed it actually in 3 different languages. We remember the English version was the harmonious that Srila Prabhupada's poems were published in. And he started staging dioramas. This was a novel thing at the time. And he was also engaging with intellectuals, right, scholars, not just from India, but other visiting scholars from other parts of the world, impressing them into accepting the superiority of Vaishnavism. So this is some of his wonderful activities. So we'll continue with some of his pastimes next week, and we'll go into our discussion today on Srila Ramananda Rai. So we're kind of coming full circle because we started our discussions on the teachings of Lord Caitanya about almost 2 years ago now, with Lord Caitanya meeting Ramananda Rai. We were talking a little bit about his glories. Now we'll go more in depth about their interactions, because these chapters about their discussions, they're very, very important. This is actually where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's true mission and his deep desire to taste this love, the highest love, Madhurya Ras, this is where it comes through for the first time, really. So Lord Ramananda Rai is not an ordinary person. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the father of Ramananda Rai, the father of Ramananda Rai was named Bhavananda Rai. Lord Chaitanya told Bhavananda Rai, indeed you are Pandu, and your 5 sons, Ramananda, Gopinath, Vaninath, Kalanidhi, and Sudhanidhi, are the 5 Pandavas. So it's also said that Ramananda Rai is either Vishaka or Lalita, or a combination of Arjuna with Vishaka or Lalita. But either way, we can understand that he was a very confidential devotee. He was able to discuss the kind of topics and experiences that no one else actually could with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's because in sharing an identity with Vishaka or Lalita, Ramananda Rai actually witnesses the Lord's very confidential pastimes with Srimati Radharani. He knows, Ramananda Rai knows what it's like to be a gopi. And so, being the closest associate of the best of the gopi, Srimati Radharani, he's the right person to assist Lord Krishna as Lord Chaitanya to experience the moods of Srimati Radharani as well. The same way that Vishaka Lalita assist Srimati Radharani, Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar, they'll also assist Lord Chaitanya. And so Swarup Damodar Goswami, he's sometimes said to be Lalita as well. So both of them actually went to Puri, and they assisted in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very deep moods of separation from Krishna, like the kind of moods that Srimati Radharani experienced. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains to us that to feel these moods was the internal reason that Krishna came to this world. The external reasons, explained very much in detail in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is to spread the holy name, right? The Yuga Dharma. And for this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became a sannyasi, right? As we described a little earlier on, so that he could travel and preach, so that he could reach as much of the subcontinent as possible, and also so that he could inspire others to take up the mission. And then after he had established these powerful personalities, Lord Nityananda and Advaitacharya were preaching across Navadvip, Bengal. There were many devotees sent to Vrindavan, including the 6 Goswamis, right? And they were also recording Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings for future generations of devotees, right? There were other devotees in Varanasi. We remember Chandrasekhar Acharya, Tapan Mishra. Right? There were devotees in Orissa, devotees that came with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and devotees who were already there, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And also now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to go to South India, right? And then he went all the way up to Western India, right? He's actually the spiritual master of Tukaram. Many of us don't know that. I didn't know that. So in that way, the holy names had been spread quite far and wide, and were being spread. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went into very deep meditations on this love of Godhead, right? This Madhurya Ras. And he remained with just these confidential associates, Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai Goswami in Jagannath Puri, in the last few years of his manifest pastimes, just experiencing this love that Srimati Radharani has for Krishna, like relishing her position, understanding his own sweetness, and enjoying that bliss that she feels. Okay. So externally, Ramananda Rai appeared in a Shudra family, and he was therefore considered by the caste Brahmanas to be fourth class. So this is a very powerful and famous image where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is nevertheless embracing him in a way that Brahmanas would not do for those who are considered fourth class. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was of the Brahmin caste by birth. Of course, none of these things affect his transcendental nature, but still to the outsiders, that's what he appears. So these Brahmanas who are in the background of this picture are quite surprised to see him embracing who they consider fourth class men, Ramananda Rai. But we see that the Lord's highest associates, like Ramananda Rai, like Haridas Thakur, they teach us by their own example of how these superficial things like birth do not make any difference to the quality of a Vaishnava. And so Srila Rupa Goswami teaches us in the 6th verse of the Nectar of Instruction. This is the translation. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So it's very interesting in this regard, even though we're not advanced devotees, but we had an opportunity to be on the banks of the Ganges about 2 years ago, when an apparent contaminating situation occurred. From quite a distance away, we could get a smell. It was a little unpleasant, and then something quite extraordinary floated past us. It was the decomposing carcass of a buffalo, and it was huge. It was huge, and it was terrible. And even though it was quite appalling to us ordinarily, after it had floated past, we bent down and we took Achaman from the same waters, and it didn't at all seem like this carcass had affected it at all. And this is the transcendental power of the Ganges. And no, we didn't get sick, and we didn't have any negative experiences afterwards. So we are meant to see devotees in that way and not consider any of the external circumstances like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. Lord Chaitanya acknowledged, though, that the Brahmanas, they didn't understand the depth of the meeting between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya then asked Ramananda Rai to meet him in the evening so that they would be able to discuss these confidential matters without these disapproving eyes on them. So we will start reading today from our chapter 27. The author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita has described Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the ocean of transcendental knowledge and Sri Ramananda Rai as the cloud which is produced from that ocean. Ramananda Rai was a greatly advanced scholar in devotional service, and by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he gathered all transcendental conclusions, just as a cloud gathers water from the ocean. So, what's the importance that Srila Ramananda Rai, in particular, gathered these conclusions? So, the basic state of Vedic culture at the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance is a lot like how it is today, where it is taken that the ultimate conclusion is God is light, that there are many forms of God, or it's taken to mean many forms of God, including the Devatas, the demigods, and that all of these forms eventually are all features of the light. So they don't have any independent existence. And overall, it's taken to be almost like they're temporary. Even Lord Krishna's forms are temporary. And that all of us can actually become one with this light and realize the God within. So this prevailing belief, although so strongly rooted even at the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, did not affect Srila Ramananda Rai at all. That he had understood the highest conclusions of bhakti, conclusions that he's going to discuss with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the next few chapters. So this is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to experience and what he came to spread as well. So we can see that Ramananda Rai is part of that dispersal, right? Because of his wonderful discussions with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We all have this understanding, and it's been also expanded by the six Goswamis in their writings. So what's also interesting is that Ramananda Rai was able to develop all of this highest knowledge, even though he was a busy working man. He was employed as a governor, right, in the Madras area, what is now Chennai, but then Madras. And he was under the king named Prataparudra. King Prataparudra is a very great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, previously the king Indradimna, who appeared in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes as the king of Jagannath Puri. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found a unique way to bring out the understanding of Ramananda Rai through their discussions, because we see that it's very interesting how it actually proceeds stepwise. It demonstrates that Ramananda Rai has a complete understanding of all the other basic teachings of what we know as Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma or the Vedic culture, right? That which is common to everybody and which everyone thinks as the highest. But then he builds on higher and higher as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encourages him, till it is established sequentially that the love of Srimati Radharani in particular is the highest attainment of religion. So it's very wonderful discussions that I hope all of you will keep joining us for. Srila Prabhupada writes at the end of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the discussions between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya deal with the most concentrated form of devotional service. By hearing these discussions, one can understand the pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna, as well as the confidential role played by Lord Chaitanya. One who is fortunate enough to have faith in these discussions can enter into the transcendental association of Radha and Krishna. So this is the wonderful fruit of listening and listening and reading these discussions with faith. So Ramananda Rai, of course, he gives all credit to Lord Chaitanya. That Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one who inspired him to speak these words. So therefore, it's described here that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one from whom these teachings emanated, but Ramananda Rai has dispersed it. As clouds appear from the ocean and then go all over the world to distribute water, which then returns to the ocean, so by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, Ramananda Rai attained his higher knowledge of devotional service, and again after retiring from service went to join Lord Chaitanya in Puri, right? And there he inspired all of these emotions in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the source of those emotions in him. And very nice. So this is part of the Lord's plan, right, that Ramananda Rai would join him in Jagannath Puri. So very shortly after meeting Ramananda Rai left his job as a governor, and he went to Jagannath Puri, and him and Sarup Damodar Goswami were there to assist Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, from our previous chapters, he's got a role to play in these pastimes, because Lord Chaitanya, after converting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, decided to go to South India. And then Srila Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Lila 7, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarizes the 7th chapter, that's of the Madhya Lila, as follows. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life in the month of Magh, that's January, February, and went to Jagannath Puri in the month of Falgun, which is February, March. He saw the Dola Yatra festival during the month of Falgun, and in the month of Chaitra, he liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. This is how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fits in. During the month of Vaishak, he began to tour South India. Right? So Vaishak is the month after Chaitra. So he converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Chaitra, March, April. And then the next month, April, May, right, he began to tour South India. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then told him, right, that on his travels in South India, he should meet a very wonderful devotee named Ramananda Rai. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya admitted that he had previously mocked Ramananda Rai for his his deep devotion. But after Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was converted to Vaishnavism, he understood the eminent position of Ramananda Rai. So he actually asked a favor of Lord Chaitanya that he would meet Ramananda Rai when he traveled. So this is the transcendental arrangement of the Lord. When he proposed to travel to South India alone, Sri Nityananda gave him a Brahmin assistant named Krishnadas. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go by himself. He gave many different reasons to his confidential associates why he wanted to travel alone. And so he just took one servant along, Krishnadas. And there's a nice meditation here from when the Lord left Jagannath Puri. This is from the Madhya Lila, 7th chapter, verse 96. Right? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted, Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. So Sri Prabhupada translates that Lord Chaitanya is calling out to Krishna in the first few lines, and then he says, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahimam. Oh Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. O Lord Ram, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. So we all travel. Sometimes we can chant these names as well, following the Lord's example. So we'll carry on reading. When Lord Chaitanya visited the southern part of India, he first went to the great temple known as Jayadra Narasimha Kshetra. This temple is situated in a place known as Singhachalam, 5 miles from Vishakhapatnam. So let's look a little at the map so we can get an idea of what where the Lord is traveling right now. Okay, so this is the map. Sorry that the writing is a little bit small, but we can see Orissa, right, on the east coast of India, and then Jagannath Puri is on the coast there, and Vishakhapatnam is somewhere about the middle on the coast, on the east coast. Sorry, I don't have the pointer ready. And just below Vishakhapatnam, there's a town called Rajamandri. So Rajamandri is where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to meet Ramananda Rai. So for now, he is in this place called Vishakhapatnam. And it's quite a distance. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually traveling by foot. Right? So this takes weeks, months to get from Puri to Vishakhapatnam. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there went to a temple, which Sri Prabhupada says is Jayada Narsingha Kshetra. Right? The name of the Lord here is Jayada Narsingha. We'll discuss how the Lord got this name. Kshetra is, of course, a place or field. And the area is called Singhachalam. This temple is situated on the top of a hill. So what's significant about this hill, hope we can appreciate it from this image, is that it was the hill that Hiranyakashipu's demoniac assistants threw Prahlad Maharaj from, right, into the ocean. Right? We see that Vishakhapatnam's on the coast. And then they placed a rock on top of him. So the Lord rescued him. And later, when Prahlad Maharaj came to this place, he wanted to actually have darshan of the form of Lord Nrsimhadev along with Lord Varahadev. Right? So why these two lords in particular? Well, Lord Varahadev killed his uncle, Hiranyaksha, and because of that form of Varahadev, Prahlad Maharaj's father, Hiranyakashipu, was enraged. Yeah, this form was of special significance. And in his anger, he wanted to destroy Vishnu and all devotees of Vishnu, which led to the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. So Prahlad Maharaj wanted to see a form of Lord Varahadev and Lord Nrsimhadev together. And so the Lord appeared in this form of Jayada Narsingha. So in our readings, it says, there are many temples in that area, but the Jayada Narsingha Kshetra temple is the largest of all. It is quite large. This is another picture of it from the side. The temple is filled with a beautiful sculpture of interest to many students. The beautiful sculpture, of course, is Lord Nrsingadev, who was self-manifested. Of interest to many students and due to its popularity, it is a very rich temple. An inscription in the temple states that the king of Vijayanagara formerly decorated this temple with gold and even covered the body of the deity with gold plate. Of course, there have been a lot of plundering over the centuries of temples in India, and many of the priests actually hid some of the treasures, even if they weren't stolen. To facilitate attendance at the temple, there are free apartments for visitors. The temple is managed by priests of the Ramanuja sect. So this very wonderful form of Lord Varahadev is not Lord Varaha Nrsimhadev, sorry, is not readily obvious if you have a darshan. We actually went there about 4 or 5 years ago, and he doesn't, oh, sorry, no, even longer, 6 years ago. He doesn't look like Varaha Nrsimhadev. He looks like this, right? One devotee was a bit surprised. She thought that this is actually a Shivalingam. But there's a very interesting reason why the Lord appears like this. So after he manifested himself, Prahlad Maharaj began to worship him, right, and then established a little temple. And Brahma, he also had he had this darshan. He worshipped many other demigods actually came here and worshipped the Lord at Singhachalam. But even though this deity was so well known and worshipped, with the course of time, like everything in Kali Yuga, the temple was lost. The temple was covered over by all the bushes and trees, and the Lord himself was covered by an anthill. The anthill covered him and actually protected him from the elements, etc. And so nobody was coming there. And then this is, of course, happening in Satya Yuga. In Treta Yuga, as Srimad Bhagavatam describes, there was a great king named Pururava, and he's described in the 9th canto. And Pururava was flying overhead with Urvashi, and he actually he was the Lord was upset with him, right, that he was so enamored with Urvashi. So the Lord actually appeared as a boar, right, to bring to Pururava's attention that he wasn't really behaving in a very good way. And then Pururava, he chased after him, right, but he couldn't catch the Lord. And then in a dream, the Lord revealed himself, that he was actually here in this form of Varaha Nrsimha, and he wanted Pururava to find him. So that's exactly what the king did. And he discovered the Lord, and then they used many kalashas, many pots of water to wash the Lord, to uncover his form. But the Lord actually informed him, right, another vision, that the ants were covering him, and they were doing a service to him because he's still very angry. He's still very angry at the demons, at Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And because of that, his body is very hot, right? And so he wanted Purava to cover him again, like the ants did, but this time with chandan. And chandan is a paste. It's made from sandalwood, and it's very cooling. It's extremely cooling. So he gave Purava instructions about how that would happen. And he would be covered with 480 kilograms of chandan at the end of the year. So does it mean the Lord is never visible? Well, on the day of Akshaya Tritiya, it's a very auspicious day in the year, he gives darshan in his form. Right? So this is his beautiful form, Varaha Nrsimha. So he has the face of Lord Varaha, the head of Lord Varaha. He has the body of a human, and the claws of and the tail of a lion. Right? We remember that Lord Nrsimhadev is actually half man, half lion. So Lord Varaha Nrsimha is part boar, part man, part lion. This is his extraordinary um, feature. And let's go to that again. He has the face of Lord Varahadev. He has the body of a man, of a human, and he has the claws and tail of a lion. So, by the instructions of the Lord to Pururava, the Lord he gives darshan one day a year, Akshaya Tritiya. So he is uncovered from all that chandan. And by the next day dawn, it said, they have to cover him again. They put on 120 kilos of chandan, it said, over his body. And then on the full moon, the following full moon, they put another 120 kilos of chandan on his body. And on the full moon of the next month, they put another 120 kilos of chandan. And then on the following full moon, they put another 120 kilos. So then after that full moon, the Lord will have a full 120 pounds of chandan, 480 pounds, of chandan. And it will stay like that till the next Akshaya Tritiya. This is how he will look, and this is how we actually had darshan of him. So we're allowed to go quite close, right? Exactly even where this picture is taken, and you can circumambulate him where the lights are, but you can't see him underneath all that chandan that keeps him cool. So how did the Lord give this name of Jiyada Narsimha? So it said that there was a very great devotee of the Lord. He was a merchant, and he came to have darshan, and the Lord offered him a benediction. And then the merchant asked him something unusual. He said that, please name yourself after me. The merchant's name was Jiyad. Like his mother gave him the name Jiyad. So so he asked the Lord that the Lord would be named Jiyad Nrsimha. And then the Lord said, yes. Right? But this is just some of the Lord's wonderful pastimes, just to show that for all his fierceness, he's very, very merciful to his devotees. Prahlad wanted to see his form. He displayed this wonderful form. This devotee wanted his form to be named after him. He agreed to that. The Lord is always subordinate to the will of his pure devotee, and the pure devotee never misuses the love of the Lord. The pure devotee doesn't misuse that privilege he or she has by their love. And this is a purely loving relationship. So when Lord Chaitanya visited this temple, he praised the deity and he quoted a verse from Srila Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? The commentary is on 7th canto, chapter 9, verse 1. And the verse goes, the verse from Srila Swami, not the Bhagavatam verse. Ugropi anugra evayam swabhaktanam nirkeshari keshari vasapotanam anyesham ugra vikramaha. And the translation is, although Lord Nrsimha is very severe to demons and non-devotees, he is very kind to his submissive devotees like Prahlad. And Prabhupada says, Lord Nrsimhadev appeared as a half-man, half-lion incarnation of Krishna when Prahlad, a boy devotee of the Lord, was harassed by his demonic father Hiranyakashipu. Just as a lion is very ferocious to other animals but very kind and submissive to his cubs, so Lord Nrsimha appeared ferocious to Hiranyakashipu and very kind to his devotee Prahlad. So another nice prayer that the Lord recited, this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text 5. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha, Prahladesha Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. And the translation of this prayer is, all glories to Lord Nrsimhadev. All glories to Lord Nrsimhadev, who is the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, and like a honeybee, is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. Shri Jayada Nrsimha ki, Shri Shintai Gaura ki, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki, Shri Radha Bhakti Sant Saraswati Thakur ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shintai Gaura Premi. So thank you all so much for your kind attention. Are there any questions or comments, any corrections, anything I can clarify? So we will continue with part 2 of this chapter next week, where after Lord Chaitanya goes to Vishakhapatnam, to Simachalam, he travels down the coast to Rajamandri, right, and he meets Ramananda Rai there on the banks of the Godavari River. It's one of the sacred rivers. We chant it in the prayer, invoking the holy rivers in water that we're going to use for the Lord's service. Ganga Chai, Yamuna Cheva, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmade, Sindhu Kavari, Jalasmin Sanivim Kuru. So on the banks of this river, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai met. So please join us for part 2 next week. So if there's no questions or comments, we will start increasing our consciousness of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by singing a bhajan in his glorification. Sorry. His appearance day is in about 20 days from now. This is very important to us Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So we will sing this very nice bhajan, Gaurangera Dyutipada, by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Gaurangera Dyutipada, Jaradhana Sambhana, Gaurangera Dyutipada, Jhardhana Sambhana, Se jane bhakati rasa, Se jane bhakati rasa, Gaurangera Mathura Lila, Jharkane Javeshila, Gaurangera Mathura Lila, Jharkane Javeshila, Vidhoya Nirmalam Helata, Vidhoya Nirmalam Helata, Gaurangera Maloni, Tara Hori Prema Doi, Gaurangera Maloni, Tara Hori Prema Doi, Tare Mori Jai Bodhi Hari, Tare Mori Jai Bodhi Hari, Gauranga Gure Ke Jhore, Nitya Lila Tare Spure, Gauranga Gure Ke Jhore, Nitya Lila Tare Spure, Se jana bhakati adhikari, Se jana bhakati adhikari, Gaurangera Sangitani, Nitya Siddha Kori Mani, Gaurangera Sangitani, Nitya Siddha Kori Mani, Se jai bhajendra sutapam, Se jai bhajendra sutapam, Shri Gaura Mandala Bhumi, Deva Jani Chintamani, Shri Gaura Mandala Bhumi, Deva Jani Chintamani, Tara Hoy Braja Bhumi Bhav, Tare Hoy Braja Bhumi Bhav, Gaura Premi Rasa Nave, Shetarangi Deva Dhute, Gaura Premi Rasa Nave, Shetarangi Deva Dhute, Se Radha Madhava Antaranga, Se Radha Madhava Antaranga, Grihe bhavane tatapke Hagoranga bole dake Grihe bhavane tatapke Hagoranga bole dake Naratama mage tarasanga Naratama mage tarasanga Gaurangera Kiti Pada Jhardana Sampada Gaurangera Kiti Pada Jhardana Sampada Sejane Bhakati Rasa Saha Sejane Bhakati Rasa Saha Gaurangera Madhurila Jharkandi Bhavashila Gaurangera Madhurila Jharkandi Bhavashila Hridoya Nirmala Bhelota Hridoya Nirmala Bhelota Jaya Nita Gora Hari Nita Gora Hari Gora Hari Jaya Nita Gora Hari Nita Gora Hari Gora Hari Jaya Parahani Simha 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev Jai Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jaya Gurudev Shinta Gaur Hari ki jai, Shri Varaha Nrsimhadev ki jai, Bhakti Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shinta Govind Nandi Hari Hari Bol, Shri Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. So I'll read the translation. Anyone who has accepted the two lotus feet of Lord Caitanya can understand the true essence of devotional service. If one is captivated by the pleasing pastimes of Lord Caitanya, the dirty things in his heart will all become cleansed. One who simply takes the holy name of Gaura Sundar, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, will immediately develop love of God. To such a person I say, bravo, very nice, excellent. If one appreciates the merciful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and feels ecstasy and sometimes cries, this process will immediately help him to understand the eternal pastimes of Radha Krishna. Simply by understanding that the associates of Lord Gauranga are eternally free from material contamination, one can immediately be promoted to the transcendental abode of Lord Krishna. If one simply understands that the land of Navadvip is not different from Vrindavan, then he actually lives in Vrindavan. If one says, let me dive deep into the waves of the nectarian ocean, the transcendental loving movement introduced by Lord Chaitanya, he immediately becomes one of the confidential devotees of Radha and Krishna. It does not matter whether one is a householder living at home or a Vanaprashta sannyasi living in the forest. If he chants, O Gauranga, and becomes a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, then Narottam Das begs to have his association. Wonderful bhajans. So again, thank you all so much for joining this evening, for your kind attention. Please join us next week. We'll also touch on the glories of Srila Ishvara Puri. It's his disappearance day tomorrow. I actually thought it was today, but it's tomorrow. We pray for his mercy and blessings on all of you. He was a glorious spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please join us next week. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.